Hello. Um, this painting is of the ByWard Market. I painted it. It was a very cold night. It was minus 38 degrees. Yeah, it's minus 38. It was. Uh, I was. I came back from England, and we had bought a place in Vanier, but there wasn't any windows, so I started painting outside, and really wanted to paint landscapes. I often was criticized, or not criticized, but people would often comment, "Oh, but can you paint anything real?" I was doing these abstract paintings, and it's like, so I started doing kind of more representational work. Um, this one, I guess I really wanted to challenge myself. Um, when you've seen so many landscapes by so many other artists, and they have such a profound effect on you, they literally they change your life when you look at a painting. They just, if you read a book, certain words can resonate inside of you that you can, their thoughts and ideas can change you so much that they structure your value system and how you behave and who you become, and it's so much the case with paintings for me. They really just kind of get right into they just hold my heart right through the rib cage. And how do you, when you're so affected by something and you kind of have to find your own language and your own uniqueness in things, and um, so one of the reasons is that so that night I went over, I'd planned this a few days before I painted the exact same painting, and it was minus 32, and I had such an incredible moment. I think your life is filled with moments that you remember. It's kind of not the everyday mundane things, but I just enjoyed it so much painting that I went out a few days later and did the exact same painting again, and that's this one. So I lived in Vanier. I had I didn't learn how to drive yet, so I didn't have a car. So I converted my bicycle to have a trailer unit, huge. I got a dolly and built this box and attached it kind of like a pram or something at the back of it. It was this huge 4 foot by 7 foot box that I would pulley around in the back. It's quite heavy, so I biked all the way down from Montreal Road all the way through Rideau and down into the market at minus 38 with all my equipment. It was kind of insane, and it was a hell of a workout. So by the time I was really kind of in my Rocky moment, I was like, yeah, like all pumped up and getting ready to get down there, really determined, really focused, really like in an inner competitive kind of focused so intensely. And so when I got there, I was sweating. It's quite the hell of a workout to get there. And all that, so as I started painting and I stood still for about, I guess it was about 8 to 8.5 hours, I stood and I did this one painting. All the sweat went cold and all my t-shirts went cold on me. And the cold really gets into your body, your knees, your teeth, your head, your fingers feel like just twigs. They feel like, because I don't wear gloves, at least on this occasion I wasn't wearing gloves, so my fingers were as if I had like got a hammer and just smashed them a bit. It was pretty painful, and really it was quite painful. I don't know how else to put it, but you don't have time to think about this or think about that. You just get the painting done. It's purely on instincts, and the determination to really mentally not quit and to focus to be doing the painting is really it's really awesome. I love it. You know, it's such an extreme experience, and it just makes it such a joy. In the moment it's so hard, but you kind of, you push yourself, you challenge yourself, and and in that kind of moment certain things happen, you know. The certain parts of the painting, you just get it done, and your things just, yeah, anyways, you get it. The paint goes over, and people always say, oh, doesn't your paint freeze? Doesn't your paint freeze? And how does that affect your artwork? And how does that affect the way you paint? And, you know, and those are certain questions that are asked quite a bit. And really, the paint ends up becoming, when it's really hot and warm outside, you can do these beautiful glazes. You can do these really nice, thin, transparent glazes of kind of like silk water pouring over a painting. But when it gets really cold, the paint starts becoming clamming up like molasses, and it starts almost like having this stringy effect. And I find that really that kind of how the paint behaves in such cold temperatures to be really something. I find it can't be replicated. But more so your mind, what happens is that you when it's that cold, you have to really be mentally in a strong kind of place to be able to be squeezing out metal tubes of paint to get the paint out. And your fingers, they just, yeah, it really hurts, but you push yourself, and it's just something, you know, and that was that. The nice thing about painting at such cold temperatures is that nobody stops. Nobody stops to talk to you. Nobody interrupts you, not even a little. They don't even notice that you're there. They're going from A to B, and they're just in such a sharp, precise direction to get the hell out of the cold. And so you can really sink and really fall into that high level of creativity, and really kind of, it's not a meditation, but it's just such a deep level of focus that you obtain, there's times that you literally don't even realize that you're outside, or you mentally detach from your body, and you have these conversations in your head where you're just so focused, and you have these long periods of like just creative orgasm inside of your mind where you're just like, wow, like, and that's really something. And what else? When I paint outside, it was interesting because while I was in England, I came back and we bought our house. We put 90% down, and we had a rental income as well, a two bedroom rental income unit, and I had a nice studio and a 3-bedroom house, and I was fine. I was financially just doing. I was like 32 years, and I was mortgage free and had rental income, and life was pretty good. No complaints on that. But I would be painting on the streets, not on this occasion because no one would even stop for they wouldn't even break a stride in their step. But on other times, people would look at me and come up to give me money, as if I was some poor, desperate artist. And I always had trouble with that. I would not accept the money. I would say I really appreciate you wishing to encourage me, and that's really great, but I really don't need your money. But the kind of poor, struggling artist, and that kind of perception, and I felt like people looked at me like I was a bloody lunatic, And well, I can't really argue that, I am a bit crazy, but I think there's crazy and then there's passionate, and I think there's a distinction between the two. But people would look at me as if I was a heroin addict or a junkie, and they would want to give me money, but you could kind of see after it happens so many times that people are wanting to, you kind of look at how people treat other people, and then you put yourself in that position and you see how they treat you, or how the similar kind of parallel reactions are drawn. So it's kind of hot potato, cold potato, and so that people would go over to give me money as if I was a drug addict or something, or a junkie or something, and then you would see them kind of go, well, I don't want to give him like too much money because he'll just go over and go get his drugs or something, and I'm sitting there going like, man, like it's just, anyway, that was just a random thought. The painting itself has so much paint on it, and the art materials itself on this weren't cheap, and this is a small painting, and I tend to go through a lot of paint when I go to the art supply store. I promise you that. I always I don't really put people in landscapes. I like the landscape to just be the structural elements. The part of this landscape that I loved the most was the sky. When it gets that cold, there really is there's not a cloud in the sky when it's at those temperatures. There's not even a possibility. It's just completely. I was hoping that I would be able to see stars or see anything, but due to all the light from the city, you don't see a star in the sky. It took me about 8.5 hours to paint this. I was absolutely frozen ass cold. I was freezing. I think the core of while you're painting in those temperatures, your nose starts running and certain kind of tears come out of your eyes from the wind, and you sit there and you kind of contemplate, is my snot going to become an icicle on my face or not? But I have extremely high circulation, but you start having all these kind of existential, kind of morbid thoughts, and you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, yeah, that was it. So I finished the painting. I put it back in my bike, and then I had to bike all the way back home. And then when I got back home, I was frozen. So I went into I think it was about 5 o'clock in the morning or so, about 4:45 or 4:45, and then I went and had a shower, and I was so cold, I just sat on the bathroom, on the tub of the floor, and let the shower just run for about 25-30 minutes, just hot water, and I just warmed myself up, and then I think I went down after that and just watched the morning start pretty soon, and just felt that kind of weightless kind of energy inside of me of just pure satisfaction, and my whole mind was just so clear and so at peace, and it was just so beautiful. It was such a beautiful moment. I consider this to be kind of, well, one of my really significant works. I'm really happy that James Budd, a good friend of mine, he purchased it from me, and it was not easy to part with this painting, but because it was going to someone that I knew could relate to it so well, and appreciate where I'm coming from and everything, I felt it was in a really good home, and thank you. I want to show you some of the things up close, just because I find that it's really important. It's these things right there, the way that the paint just becomes completely abstracted, and how the textures and those mark makings and that abstraction, you look at it up close and you're like, what the hell is that? And that is that I just find so exciting, but all the information's there, just enough, but the paint is paint, and yet it's representational, and that was it. Okay, all the little details and things. Anyways, right here's how the paint kind of drips. Right there, how it drips when it's that cold. All these kind of chaos things and all this mark making. That's what happens when it's so cold, is those things right here, these long spaghetti things. And those don't happen otherwise. They don't happen at normal temperatures. They happen when it's freezing cold. Anyways, thank you.